Heyo! Hey everyone! So today I'm going to be doing my May wrap up, and you may notice that my hair is much shorter. I did cut 10 inches off. It might be confusing because in my June TBR my hair is still long. That is because I filmed my June TBR before I'm filming this video, so you're not going crazy. That's why it's a little wonky. Just disclaimer that I did cut my hair after I filmed my June TBR, and now I'm filming my May wrap up. I don't know, I'm just a strange human being. So this month I read 9 books, kind of 10. Technically my Goodreads challenge list thing says that I read 10, but I will kind of explain that when I get to it. So the first book I read in May was Lover Revealed by J.R. Ward, and I don't have a physical copy of the book with me to show you yet. I haven't bought it yet. I plan on buying it, I just haven't yet. This is the 4th book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood adult paranormal romance series. It's about vampires. I'll just go ahead and disclaim that. I gave this book 5 stars. It was my least favorite out of the series that I've read so far, but I still loved it enough to give it 5 stars. I still thought it was a 5-star book. It just wasn't my favorite out of all the books. I can't tell you too much about it, obviously, because it's the 4th book in a series. I definitely recommend that you check out the Black Dagger Brotherhood if you are, I'll say, mature enough for adult literature, because I feel like maturity is kind of a subjective thing. I feel like a lot of 15, 16-year-olds can be more mature than some people in their early 20s, so it just depends on your maturity level. So read it at your own risk, but it is an adult paranormal romance series, but I definitely recommend it. The next book that I read after Lover Revealed was Lover Unbound, which is the 5th book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series by J.R. Ward. This was my second favorite book out of the whole series. It follows Vicious and his story, and this one was just so good. Obviously I gave it 5 stars if I gave the other one 5 stars, but this has just been a 5-star series for me. I've given every book so far 5 stars, so I just really love them, and I definitely recommend them if anybody's looking for a good paranormal romance story about vampires. These are extremely addicting. They look kind of thick and kind of scary, but they're really not. I fly through these. I just think they're so good and they're just so addicting that it's hard to put them down. The next book that I read / really finished in May was Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This book took me quite a while to read. I started it, I think, at the very beginning of May, and I had about 80 pages left before I just put it down and didn't pick it up again for several weeks, probably 3 weeks or so. I just feel like it felt like it should have ended already, and I got really bored and I had no drive to pick it up again. But in the end, I did really end up liking it. I think I gave it 3 or 3.5 stars. Actually, let me check. What did I rate it? Because that's very important, as you know. Okay, 3 stars. I did rate this book 3 out of 5 stars, specifically for the ending. I was pretty much enjoying it in the very beginning, and then towards the middle it really started to slow down for me, and then, as I said, I stopped it and put it down for a really long time and had no drive to pick it back up. I picked it back up during the Bout of Books readathon, just so I could plow through and finish it. I did really end up liking the last 30 to 50 pages, probably like more the last 30. It's just, it gets really interesting towards the end, and I will say I do want to read the next book now because of how it ended, but that 3rd star is really based on the ending, because I feel like any book that I really did not want to pick up again shouldn't have that many stars, but you know, there are some exceptions to that. I did think it was okay. Like the 3-star rating says on Goodreads, I liked it. I just kind of feel meh about it. I won't harp too much on that because I really don't have much more to say about it. The next book I read was Silver Shadows by Rochelle Mead. I was so excited to pick this up. I had started, I think I had read like 100 and some pages, maybe 140 or 130 pages. I read that much in like a couple hours because this is like my favorite world. I put it down so I could finish Red Queen. It was like my motivation to finish Red Queen, and this book I just flew through in the 2 different days that I read it. It was so fast. I loved it. 5 stars, as most of the Vampire Academy and Bloodlines books are to me. As I've said before in other videos, Vampire Academy is my favorite series of all time. I kind of lump this in with Vampire Academy as well, just because it's the same world, just this is a spin-off. This is the 5th book in the Bloodlines series, and there's one book left that I have to read, but I'm putting it off because, like I've said a million times, I started reading Vampire Academy in high school and I just really don't want it to end. I'm having a really hard time with it, so I'm really putting off reading that last book. But of course this was 5 out of 5 stars. I can't really say much about it because it's the 5th book in a spin-off series. So, but I really recommend it. Super fast paced. I just loved it, and there's really not much else I can say. So after Silver Shadows, I finished Losing It by Cora Carmack. I didn't start this book immediately after finishing Silver Shadows, but that's the next book that I finished. I was reading 2 other books at the time that were kind of dark, and I was having a really bad day in the middle of those 2 books, and so I just picked up Losing It by Cora Carmack, and I read it in a day. Yeah, that never happens to me anymore because I just don't have the time or the patience for it. I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. It's my first new adult book that I've ever read, and it was so good. It's the first contemporary book I've read in the longest time. I don't think I've read a contemporary since high school, maybe? I don't even remember the last time I read a contemporary book, but it was so good. I feel like for my first new adult book, that was a good one, because while a lot of my favorite books are about, 15, 16-year-olds, a lot of my favorites, I think the main character is 17 or 18. But anyway, it was kind of nice to read about characters who were the same age as me, kind of like going through the same things as me, as far as like where they are in their lives. It was just really good, and I definitely recommend it for new adult if you're looking for something fun to read. It just made my day. It was really good, and I adored it, so there's really not much left to say. I feel like I just keep saying after, I adored it, I loved it, it was so good. There's really not much else to say. That's kind of how this is going, isn't it? The next book that I have here is The Eternity Cure by Julie Kagawa. This is the 2nd book in the Blood of Eden series. This is an all-time favorite series for me. This book is really the one that made it that way for me. I gave the first book, The Immortal Rules, 5 stars. I read this one last summer, and I didn't pick up the rest of them because I loved it so much and I wanted to keep it going. I didn't want it to end so soon. I have this bad habit of doing that. But anyway, I finally picked this book up, and this is really what made this a favorite series for me. This was so good. I was so emotional after reading it. I finished it at 2 a.m. one night, and then I just could not sleep because the ending, oh my god. My heart was just broken. It was so devastating, and it was so emotional, and I had the biggest book hangover from this book. I didn't know how to feel. I texted everybody and everyone's asleep, and I'm texting all my closest friends and my sister, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make myself happy again. So immediately after I finished this, the next day, I picked up The Forever Song, which is the last book in the Blood of Eden series, because I knew if I didn't pick this up immediately, I would spoil myself and look online. So I picked this up right away. First, well, let me explain. That extra 10th book I was talking about is Zeke's letter to Allie. I printed it out and stuck it in this book because I'm a freak. This is technically a separate book on Goodreads, but it's just a little PDF file that's supposed to go at the very end of this one / very beginning of this one. You're just supposed to read it when you finish this. And I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, obviously, because it's just a little PDF, but it's good. So, so that's kind of why I said my 10th book, because technically on Goodreads it marks it as an extra book. So because of that, I added an extra book to my reading challenge for the year. Instead of 30 books, I have 31 because I didn't want that to count as one of my books towards my goal. Anyway, rambling. Both of these, I can't decide which one is my favorite out of the series. I think they're both tied for pretty freaking awesome. The ending to the series was amazing. It was so good. It was so heartbreakingly beautiful, and just oh my gosh, it just made my heart just, oh my goodness. This book is just so good. The series is so good, and I definitely recommend it. I gave both of these 5 stars as well. For sure, if I could have given them 6 stars, then I would have. I definitely recommend this series, and I would say that these books have a tendency to kind of be slow at the beginning because it gives a lot of detail and starts up because there's a lot of searching and a lot of walking and stuff like that. It's the same with this first book as well. So I will say that if you're feeling like kind of not bored, because I wasn't bored, but if you're feeling like, okay, when's the action gonna happen, give it some time. Give it 100 or so pages because they're so worth the wait. The series is just so good, and I definitely recommend it. It's a new favorite series for me. I just read them. They're so beautiful, and I wasn't planning on reading the Iron Fae series by Julie Kagawa, but now I feel like I have to get more of her beautiful writing and her amazing stories, and I just don't know what to do now that this is over. I'm very sad. I just have 2 more books. The next book that I read was City of Fallen Angels by Cassandra Clare. This is the 4th book in the Mortal Instruments series. I really enjoyed this. A lot of people say that this is their least favorite because it's like starting a new series. Like the first 3 books were a trilogy, and then the next 3 are like a new trilogy for Mortal Instruments. So this is kind of like the first book, or a first book all over again. So a lot of people say that they don't like this one as much because it's kind of slow. I didn't feel that it was slow. I really liked it because I love the characters, and it was just nice to catch up with them again and see how they were doing and what they were doing, and just kind of get to know them a little bit better. So I really liked this one. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars just because it wasn't my absolute favorite, but it was hard for me to put it down. I was reading this and The Eternity Cure kind of at the same time. I mean, Mortal Instruments I feel like is kind of an acquired taste, or hit or miss, or however you want to call it. People either love it or hate it, or just really feel meh about it. I'm one of the people that really loves it. I don't know if I like this or the Infernal Devices series better yet, because I've only read one of the Infernal Devices books, so I can't really say which I think is better, but I do really like this one. So I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. The last book that I read in May was Faking It by Cora Carmack. This is the 2nd book in the Losing It kind of companion trilogy thing. It follows a different main character in each book, but they're all in like the same circle of friends, so it's just a different person's love story each time. Another 5-star book. I can't decide if I like this one or Losing It better. This one was a completely different story, a completely different idea, completely different characters, or character types, I guess, because you do know some of the characters in from the first book. But another 5-star book, so good. Flew through it. This was such an easy read. I finished this on the last day of May, and I plan to read the 3rd book and the novella that goes between the 1st and 2nd books this month. So I definitely recommend these books if you don't mind love stories. They are slightly cheesy at times, but they're not like super cheese, if you know what I mean. They're like they're really real and relatable. I just adore these books so much. I would recommend them to everyone my age that likes these kinds of books. So yeah. Well, I intended that to be a shorter video. It now is at 18 minutes, so hopefully I can make this outro short and don't ramble on too long, but that's my May wrap up. That's what I read in May. I read a lot more books than I usually do. I don't know how that happened because I didn't feel like I was reading a lot of books, but I guess I was. Stay tuned for my June TBR. That'll be coming pretty soon. Just depends on when I can get it on my computer and edit it because I don't have a lot of space left on my computer. I hope you guys had a great May, and I wish you a happy June. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.
How many books did I read this month? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, kind of 10. Yeah, kind of 10. I feel like I'm like slouching. Hey, go back in your little home, buddy. Even the parts in the... I can't say that because that's a spoiler. Duh, Kate, duh. Put you back in your little home. Good boy. It looks so good today. It never looks this good. Just a good day.